Hello and welcome to Solo Guitars. We're back for another video on our Solo SGK kit series right now. Last time we showed you how to install all the electronics in this guitar kit, so this time we're going to move on to the remainder of the hardware, including the tuners, the strap buttons, and the bridge. Let's get going. If you've been following this series, you will have seen how I put these inserts in the last video. You press them in by hand a little bit, and then you can either push them in with a drill press, tap them in with a hammer and a piece of wood or something else to lessen the blow, or use a mallet. I'm just using a cheap piece of wood here and a hammer to get these pressed into place nicely. Make sure that you've got your ground wire in place before you put these in. But again, we covered that in the last video when we installed the electronics. So next up, we put in our pickups and our plates. The pickups as well were covered in the video on the electronics. I'm showing here how to put in the plates. I help use those as spacers to make sure that the pickups and pickup rings are installed in the right places. The pick guards kind of help you make sure that everything fits exactly where it's supposed to. We recommend that you use a small drill bit to pre-drill the holes that you're going to put the screws in to screw the pick guards in. So put the pick guards in place, mark those holes with a pencil, and then go ahead and pre-drill small pilot holes. And please make sure that your pilot holes are no larger than the inner diameter of the screws that you're putting in to hold the pick guards in place. This same concept will apply when you're screwing your pickup rings in place and your backplate for the guitar. Make sure that your backplate fits properly within the routed cavity. If it does not, you may need to shave a little bit of the backplate off in order to get it to fit properly. That's a simple matter of using a razor blade or some sandpaper to gently scrape some off. Similarly, you're going to want to put in pilot holes for the strap buttons. There is some leeway in terms of placement for the strap buttons. In this one, we've got one located on the upper horn on the back and one right in the middle of the bottom of the guitar. Keep in mind that essentially every part on these guitar kits can be upgraded. For example, strap locks can be purchased or upgraded bridges, pots, etc. from solomusicgear.com. So if you're looking for any upgrade parts, feel free to check those out there. I've just screwed the studs into place for the bridge and stop tail and pressed on my knobs. And now we're moving on to the tuning pegs. These you place in from the back, and on this particular kit there is a washer there that you put in, and you follow that up with the nut that holds the tuning peg in place. I recommend putting the tuning pegs themselves, the adjustment knobs, vertical so that you've got lots of space in between. It does make it easier to see exactly how they line up, so you can make sure that they're all lined up properly before you go ahead and put the screws in the back to secure them in position. Once you've got that done, you can tighten these up using a simple crescent wrench or an appropriately sized wrench, or of course a socket. Don't tighten these down too hard. You do want to make sure that they're secure, but you don't want to risk denting the wood. And of course, once the guitar kit has a finish on it, you certainly don't want to risk damaging the finish. So again, these don't need to be tightened down to a crazy degree. They just need to be snug enough that they're not going to move on their own. And once you get those screws in the back, that alleviates some of that issue as well. The small screws that I've been referring to that go into the back of the tuning apparatus are particularly difficult to screw in, so it's important that you get them marked and do a very small pilot hole for them as well. If you don't do a pilot hole, you are quite likely to strip the screws and have difficulty getting them in place. The truss rod cover uses similar screws. They are slightly larger and slightly easier to screw in, but again, a pilot hole is advisable. I like to press them into place with my thumb a little bit to make a mark where I need that hole and then drill them out. I haven't demonstrated the drilling process here, but this can be done with a hand drill or a power drill, and the key point here is to make sure that one, that pilot hole is appropriately small, and two, you don't drill too far through. I recommend marking the appropriate depth using the screw on the drill bit and then using some masking tape to set the depth on there so that you don't go past where you need to be. Last but not least, we go ahead and put the bridge and stop tail in place, and then we can string up the guitar. Once the guitar is strung up, it's a simple matter of going ahead and doing a proper setup on it by adjusting the truss rod, the bridge height, and the stop tail height to ensure that you end up with the playing setup that you want. In an effort to even out the tension on the neck, I always like to install the two E strings, the upper and lower strings first, and then work my way toward the middle. Keep in mind that adding these strings will cause some neck bow, and a truss rod adjustment may be necessary as you do this. If you've already adjusted your truss rod to level in order to do a fret leveling job, you'll notice that this creates a little bit of bow. Also keep in mind that your strings and neck will take some time to adjust to the tension, so you may notice that initially you do have to tune the guitar several times in order to get it to stay stable and maintain a proper tune. This is normal, and stretching your strings and putting some pressure on your neck to get it to adjust and shift a little bit will speed up this process, but this process cannot be avoided. Using higher quality strings can also assist in adding to tuning stability, as can installing an upgraded nut. There are plenty of options for upgraded nuts, as well as upgraded strings available at solomusicgear.com. We hope you enjoy building your solo SGK guitar kit. As you can see, it's fairly easy to put together a fully functional guitar using these items, and the options for upgrades, customization, and other modifications are virtually endless. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this tutorial series helpful with your guitar kit assembly.